talk about the auto sector. Bajaj Auto's numbers came just a while back and they looked very good. Total sales growth of 25% is what we've seen. The big up move has really come in the export sales, a 39% growth, and domestic sales are also up about 18%. Rakesh Sharma, the Executive Director at Bajaj Auto, joins us now to talk about that. Rakesh, hi, good morning and thanks for joining in. Last time when we spoke, you did mention to us that there is a recovery visible in the export market. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Currently, you're doing about little under 1.5 lakhs in terms of wholesale sales in the export market. How much can it pick up over the next couple of months? And what's the average that you can perhaps see over the next quarter?
Good morning, Sonia. The export recovery is very slow and steady. And I think we have bottomed the curve. But the climb back is going to be very, very gradual, largely because, some of the markets in Africa are still reeling under the impact of the devaluation, whilst the availability of currency in other parts of the world is progressively improving for trade. But the impact of devaluation is hurting large markets like Nigeria, Kenya, etc. Now, this is going to take time. These price increases, retail price increases are going to take time to get digested. And we expect Africa to be on a very, very gradual upswing. Whereas, ASEAN and Latin America are doing well. The recovery over there is pretty good. But South Asia, which is largely led by Bangladesh, is still very slow. So when you put all this together, we would still say the next few months would be a gradual recovery. And so don't look at the percentage comparison with last year because there is a base effect which is coming in. It is better to look at it sequentially.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, so you're saying that couple of markets, South Asia led by Bangladesh is still very slow. There's this devaluation, currency devaluation issue in Africa, which continues to hit. Any kind of estimate on what FY25 could look like, particularly for exports? If we do see a slow and steady recovery, are you looking at a single-digit growth, double-digit growth in the export market in FY25?
It's difficult to hazard a guess, as you can understand, with all the kind of factors which are in play. But I would certainly venture out and say that it will be, we are planning for it to be next year or this year to be better than the previous year. But, having said that, one thing which I want to point out in exports is if you look at the value growth, there is a value growth. There is no value decline because, the parts of the business which are growing, which is Latin America, have a very rich mix of higher value products. So partly because of the gentle devaluation and partly because of the mix effect, the value growth of exports is actually in positive, and whilst the volume, as you know, is negative. And if I sort of delve into that a little bit more, our flagship brand has grown by 25%, more than 25% in exports. So that has had a very good impact on both the value and, of course, the bottom line for the exports BU.
Mr. Sharma, hi, good morning. Prashant here, and congratulations on a sort of good number there. And as you said, on the export side, I mean, the climb back perhaps will be a little slow because of problems in specific African markets, etc. Just wanted to sort of ask you about on the electric side, on the EV side, on the two-wheeler front, could you give us a sense of, where do you at the end of March, what's your market share, fourth quarter market share? And on a related point, I was reading, I think this was a note from one of the analysts who tracks your company, saying that, the Ola, which is which has been the leader in the EV side, on the EV side, has gained market share quite substantially over the last couple of quarters. And they believe it's largely led by a massive jump in distribution. I mean, their products are well distributed, whereas, you and others have not really pushed on distribution yet. So it's a matter of availability in that sense. So just wanted your thoughts there, Mr. Sharma.
Yeah. Our performance, if I take the latest numbers which have just sort of rolled in, and these are basis Vahan registrations, so these are not billing numbers. We are in the number 3 position with, I think, a 13 to 14% market share, which is a very significant change from last year when we were at this time at 5% and at a number 6 position. We have renovated, refurbished our Chetak range just in the last quarter, January, February, March, and we are going to add to it. So that has driven some of this increase. Now, when it comes to the industry, of course, always distribution plays a key role, but I think most of the major players are pretty well distributed. The swings which we see in market share in some competitors is largely attributed to pricing changes, And if you track the price movements over the last few months, and when I say price movements, it could also mean the introduction of cheaper, newer products. I think on the balance, what has driven shares is really a very high price-led initiative rather than distribution. The EV is such a compelling proposition that if I have, let's say, 5 stores in Bombay, people will go to those 5 stores. Just by having 50 stores in Bombay is not going to suddenly change the fortunes dramatically. So distribution also, there is a certain optimum level of distribution so that, the channel is healthy and channel is motivated and the channel is sort of investing behind the business. So I would say that it is really the attacking the lower segment price-wise and to some extent distribution.
Hi, Mr. Sharma. Good morning, and good to hear your commentary. You're sounding a little bit optimistic, both on the exports as well as on EV. And I recall last year you said every quarter will see an increasing improvement, and that's what's happened on exports. So good on you. What about Triumph? How are sales shaping up as of now? What's the run rate, and where do you see that number headed?
So Triumph overall, this month we've clocked about over 6,000 units. There has been a good uptick in exports. Many markets are now receiving the bikes made out of here. So that's about over 4,000 units and about 2,000 plus units, 2,100 units of sales in India, retail sales I'm talking about. And this would be in about 30, 40 cities. So it's a very steady progress. It's a new brand. We are now building, as we are expanding the network, we are building the brand position. We are putting in place programs which will not just lift brand awareness, but will differentiate the brand and will give an experience to a customer who's entering the Triumph world. And that is the kind of capability which we want to build over this year, so that as we introduce more and more products and as we expand distribution, the brand awareness and the brand differentiation and the brand equity will drive the market shares.
So from 6,000 units, how do you see this number shape up?
Certainly, we would definitely look at very high double-digit growth. It depends a lot on the pace of our expansion of our distribution. And we are, at this point of time, again, going quarter by quarter and ensuring that quarter one, which is this quarter, will be at least 30% better than the previous quarter.
Okay, I have a couple of more questions on EVs.
Yeah.
Sure, I have a couple of more questions on EVs, but before that, just overall on the domestic growth, it's been very strong. You're clocking about 2.2 lakhs on an average, and this time it's an 18% growth. What do you think you can do by the end of FY25? You gave us an outlook on exports, but particularly in the domestic market, any qualitative or quantitative, trends?
Yeah. So I think what we are anticipating, the domestic motorcycles market is to grow at about 7%, though I would say that, the March retails have been a little bit under expectations. We were expecting a similar kind of a growth, 7% for the industry in March, but it has come out at about, very low single digits. We are outpacing the industry. We have, in Q4, grown at twice the rate of industry. And if you look at our area of strategic focus, which is the top half of the industry, there we are even clocking 3 times growth. Now, the significant point over here, I think in this year, the significant point, which is from our point of view, which has occurred, is the substantive competitive position shift which has taken place. The top half of the industry, that is 125cc and above, that is growing faster than the bottom half. So its share of volume is around 51% now. Of course, its volume share and profit share is higher than 51%. In this, we were like 10 percentage points behind the market leader. And over the year, we have closed the gap to about only 2 percentage points behind. So our market share in the top half of the industry, which includes everything from 125cc to 500cc, is now standing at about 26 percentage in retail terms. And this has all been driven by a slew of new products. We've launched 9 models in the Pulsar range. We've launched 6 models in the KTM and the Triumph range. And we are set to continue this breathtaking pace of new product launches well into the next quarter. And therefore, we that if the industry behaves in the same way, we are set to look at claiming leadership in the top half of the industry.
Okay, that's very optimistic. I wanted to talk a little bit about EVs because Chetak did very well in the month of March. They sold record units. The industry itself did very well, but now April onwards, or rather, July onwards, suppose the FAME subsidies are pulled out entirely, then how do you see the way forward for the entire EV sector? Just trying to understand any low-cost EV that could be in the making for Bajaj.
Yeah, so of course, the beginning April, the subsidy has already been announced by the government to be half of what it was when it comes. So that reduction is taking place. And that's why you see a very strong blip for the industry in March. I expect that April will be low, but when you put March and April, May together, we will come to the average level, which we have been seeing in January, February. The penetration levels obviously slow down when the prices increase, net or effective prices to the customers increase. But the customer is pretty switched on to the prospect of EV. So that more than anything else is going to continue to drive penetration, albeit at a lower rate. We expect, a growth of 20 to 25% over the year. The other thing which is happening is, of course, we know that the battery prices are coming down and the cell costs are coming down, as a result of which it gives us a little bit more room to have better pricing to mitigate the withdrawal of the subsidy to the customer. And therefore, I would say, about 20-25% growth rate through the year can be expected. And certainly, the focus of the industry will probably now move more towards lower priced products or that kind of a segment, rather than, very performance oriented and probably go more towards the value products, which will also drive the industry. We have got a strong pipeline, and you will see within this quarter some introductions from us, which will carry our market position even further.
Got it. Just one final question on the three-wheeler EV ramp-up. What was the number in March, and how do you expect to ramp it up in this fiscal, in the new fiscal?
So EV three-wheeler, as you know, we launched 3 products. We are in about 20 cities or so. Our overall market share despite just being in 20 cities. And EV in three-wheelers has a very long tail. It is there in many, many, many towns. And that is where the distribution effect will certainly come into play. But where we are, those 20, 30 towns where we are already present for a couple of months, we are clocking very good, 30 to 50% market share. We've got a very aggressive plan because the product is now proven, product acceptance is proven. We are getting a very good demand from our dealers. We've had a national launch and the channel is the appetite is whetted. And we will be entering about 200 towns in the next 6 months and driving for leadership at least 50% by, in this year.
All right, Mr. Sharma, we'll let you go on that note. Thank you actually for joining us and, talking about the entire business in depth, and your optimism is actually palpable and perhaps infectious as well. You're seeing that big move in the stock this morning, and the stock is now at the high point, up almost about 2% and it's had a phenomenal run. I mean, if you just pull up a one-year chart of Bajaj Auto, it's had a dream run. In the last 1 month itself, it's given you a 15% return and more in the last 1 year.